Hey there, my diecast fanatics. What is going on? Hope you guys are doing really good. Hope you're taking care of yourselves and each other out there. Another hot one in Central Florida. This is just one of those times you just want to stay indoors and make some videos about some cool diecasts, right? So let's dive into this. All right, so what do we got on the turntable and around today? So, remember, did a video about my Coupe and Sedan DeVilles from Greenlight. Now today we're going to take a look at Auto World selections of the DeVille series. Now I only have them in coupe form, Coupe de Ville, but I got several nice versions up here I'm going to show off to you, and they're all quite nice. And we're going to dive right into this, all right? So you're probably noticing I got two sets of twins. We got two Firethorn Red, and we got two, I believe they're called Calypso Green. Don't chisel that in stone. I might be wrong about that. So once again, how I ended up with twins like that is because I had a pre-order with 3,000 toys, and I think it took 3 months for them to fulfill the order, and by that point in time I'd completely forgotten about it and ended up ordering two more from Diecast Models Wholesale, and that's how I ended up with two of these. But since I was in the process of constructing a Cadillac dealership, which you've already seen on the middle display there, I didn't mind it so bad. So now we got two versions of the Firethorn Red and the Calypso Green. We say we take a look at these babies, huh? Alright, so Auto World, as always, they do a fantastic job with their details. They do it differently with the bumpers and such, where they actually cast them in as part of the tooling. They're not separate pieces that are chrome plated and then glued on. And while that makes for a slightly less realistic look, it's overall more durable. Let's just say it that way. So you got a matching Firethorn Red interior. By the way, Firethorn Red was also a Pontiac color too. They used it on the Trans Am and a couple of other models, I believe, back in these days. It's a gorgeous, gorgeous red. It's a very ritzy, deep red. These do have an opening hood that frankly is actually pretty easy to open. The only thing is it doesn't open very far. Gives you a glimpse of the gigantic 500 cubic inch V8. Now, about the 500 cubic inch V8. It was introduced in 1970, and at that point it was known as the Eldorado engine because it was only offered in the Eldorado. Starting in 1975, the 500 cubic inch V8 was made standard across the board in all the full-size Cadillacs, with the exception of the Seville, of course. That had an Oldsmobile 350. So the 500 cubic inch V8 kind of lost its exclusivity. It also lost a fair amount of horsepower. I think it was only making 190 by this point in time. But this would have been probably a Coupe de Ville d'Elegance. You can probably tell because it's got that little coach lamp there by the very large quarter window. These Cadillacs were just, even in two-door form, incredibly roomy and incredibly comfortable. Remember I told you about you can always tell a DeVille series because it has the crest and the V. The Fleetwood always had the crest and the wreath. And I like how they did the wire wheel hubcaps on these too. That was very sharp. Now, how many of you Gen Xers remember a TV series by the name of Crazy Like a Fox? It starred Jack Warden and John Rubinstein. One of these 1975-76 Coupe de Villes featured prominently in that show. The premise of that show was Jack Warden played this private detective. He was always dragging his very staid lawyer son, played by John Rubinstein, into his detective capers. And Jack Warden's character drove a chocolate brown on chocolate brown, 1975 or 76 Cadillac Coupe de Ville. I remember watching this series. It said that the car used to vacillate between the two. You can always tell the 76 because it had little chrome surrounds on the tail lamps and it had a heavier grille pattern. Now this is a really beautiful shade of green here. Kind of like a mint green, but it's too dark to be that. But look at that matching interior. Isn't that beautiful? I love how they did that. That's one thing I like about Auto World. When they do a casting, they do a really nice job on these things. But yeah, I have all these parked at my little Cadillac dealer down there. They're all pretty much at the same, underhood design with the engine. Really no difference there at all. I like how they do the Landau top. Now see, this would be a more standard DeVille, Coupe de Ville, because it doesn't have the little coach lamp on the outside there. All right. And then we'll take a look at the black one. This one's black on black with a white top. That's kind of a nice little sharp combination. Gives it this little bit of contrast. And by the way, all these are authentic Cadillac colors. Auto World does their research and they make sure they spray paint their cars authentic Cadillac colors. This would have been called Tuxedo Black. Yeah, now the 1974 was similar in appearance. Only difference, of course, was up front. It had a heavier egg crate pattern grille and it had round headlights that year. But everything else that you see in the shape of it was about the same. I remember another 1974 Coupe de Ville, actually two of them from movie fame. The mayor in the 1975 movie Jaws, he drove one. It was shown in the movie briefly. And also, you remember the movie Christine from 1983 with Keith Gordon and John Stockwell? Darnell, the character of Darnell, he drove a 1974 Coupe de Ville and already used to borrow it to do his parts hauls. Here's a little beauty right here. This was a very popular Cadillac color scheme. Cotillion white with a red top and then a contrasting red and white interior. I always love that. The red dash with the white interior, white seats, white door panels, and you would have had red carpeting in there. They didn't depict the red carpeting, but they did. Actually, wait, maybe they did. No, I'm just seeing the dash in there. But they did do the seats really nice. And they did a nice job with the pinstriping too. Check that out. That's really sharp. Very nice. You know, the 74 through 76 Cadillacs were also a little bit of an oddball because this was the only 3 years where they went to these kind of horizontal tail lamps on their cars instead of the vertical ones, which had been traditional. And I guess that had to do with the fact that they had those bumper standards they had to deal with, and they didn't have time to really tool up for stuff. But I remember in 1977 when they did the downsizing and they had to redesign the whole car, then they did switch back to the more traditional vertical tail lamps. This is a nicely done car. You see under here, there's the ubiquitous catalytic converter that was debuted for 75, TH400 trans, and of course the 500 cubic inch V8. I'll tell you a little interesting secret about the 500 cubic inch V8 from Cadillac. Do you know it weighs something like, I think 50 to 100 pounds less than a big block Chevy? That's kind of wild. All right, so here's the other set of twins. This is the Calypso Green. This is a really pretty color. I like this one a lot. And this one is also depicted as a DeVille d'Elegance because you got the little coach lamp right there. That is a sharp color green. Look at that. Absolutely beautiful. I remember Cadillac had just a incredible ride in these times. These were, you know, here's the thing. You didn't so much steer one of these cars, you shouted orders to the helm. But you know what? They would take you anywhere you wanted to go in just supreme comfort. Let me tell you. And they always had that big giant GM air compressor for the air conditioning. It would cool that interior down in no time on a hot summer day. Yeah, I kind of like that I ended up with a couple set of twins because, like I said, it makes the dealership more realistic that way. And besides this, you know, there's two of the most beautiful colors out there. You can't go wrong with that. Just fantastic. Absolutely love it. All right, let's take a look at our last one. I think this color was described as ivory. I could be wrong. I think it's a little too close to the beige end of the spectrum to really be called ivory. To me, ivory is always more like a off-white or something. But still, this is a nice color. This is, again, one of those times I wish they would have put a matching interior in it, like made the interior the same color as the body. That would look so nice. But instead, they copped out and went with this black interior. And I hate when they do that. You know, it's like, just give the interior some color. I mean, the black one, I can understand that one having a black interior. That works. This one here, I'm sorry. This should have had a nice light colored interior, either a white or the same color as this body. That would have been really nice. This is once again a standard Coupe de Ville. You'll notice no coach lamp. Still a very plush car though, even in the standard form. You can't go wrong with it. Absolutely lovely. You'll notice these hoods are actually pretty easy to open. I'm not having any trouble opening these hoods. I wish I could say that some of the other cars I've got, you know what I mean? Goodness. There you go. So I guess we can call this video part 2 of the Cadillac DeVille series, although these were all coupes though. There was no sedans. I really hope Auto World, you know, they make 4-door station wagons. At least they're brave enough to do that. But I really wish they would make a 4-door sedan DeVille in this model year. And also a Fleetwood would be nice to see in this model year. You know what else I really want to see a diecast maker do? I really want to see somebody do the downsized 77 through 79 versions of both the Coupe and Sedan DeVille and also the Fleetwood. I think that would be really cool. And I think they would sell a lot of them, too. There's only one company I've seen that does that, and it's this place called Stamp Models. They make them in 143 scale and Stamp Models. I don't know if you guys have ever priced those online. They're frighteningly expensive. They're just, you know, almost stupid money that they want for those little cars. So I have to say, no can do on that one. There you go, diecast fans. Cadillac Coupe de Ville from Auto World 1975 through 76. Hope you enjoyed that. You guys take care and you enjoy yourselves. And we'll see you in the next video.